Here's the new Yamaha Tenere 2022. Beautiful bike, as you can see. They did a really good job just with the overall style. There's the screen when it starts up. So, 5 things that I like about the Africa Twin better than the Yamaha Tenere. One is the obvious, the screen, the display. As you can see, this one looks pretty basic compared to the Africa Twin. Also, the RPMs kind of run up on the side here, basically, and I don't think they look quite as cool as the the other screen on the Africa Twin. Another thing that was kind of cool on the Africa Twin is you could see a number of things all on the screen at one time, whereas on the Yamaha you have to toggle to the various different things here. So if you look, we've got the time and we've got the odometer down here at the bottom. I've got 80 miles on it right now. But then if you scroll, you have to actually scroll to get to the temperature and to the the average miles per gallon, the trip meter and that sort of thing. Whereas on the Africa Twin, you can typically see all of that without scrolling. One thing that is really cool on this is it does show you what gear you're in when you're driving. So I do like that. Another thing I like slightly better on the Africa Twin, the 2017 Africa Twin versus this 2022 Yamaha, is the back and the storage area. So I like to have some utility on the bike to be able to actually haul things. And with this bike, what you can see here is it does actually have these brackets here for loading things up, which I will get something on here at some point. But if you look right here, there's really not anything, any good way to actually mount anything here. You do actually have to mount. If you want a rear rack, it does have to mount to these front brackets. Whereas on the Africa Twin, there were 4 actual separate bolts here where you could mount something a little bit bigger. The other thing too is that I don't think the back end looks as good. What you've got is this little narrow back end. Personally, I would prefer it to be a little bit wider so you could have a bigger rack on it. And then the other thing too is the whole back here, the way it's designed. Really, it kind of looks like a sacrum to me. It doesn't look that cool. They do have a tidy tail where you can take all of this off and make it look a little bit neater, but this whole little back end I think could have been redesigned. Another important thing that I think is a little bit more of a defect on this one versus the Africa Twin is this bracket right here that holds the muffler on actually is welded to the frame of the bike, whereas it's actually bolted on higher up on the Africa Twin. So what you can clearly have here is if you hit this hard enough, if you drop the bike, you could bend this bracket, and then it would be kind of a pain to have to straighten that back out, and you could potentially put fatigue and stress on the actual connection here where it's welded. Another item about the Tenere is it's not quite as refined as the Africa Twin, obviously. It is a very nice bike. It will get you out on the road. I think does a great job on and off-road. Actually, I have not had it off-road yet, but on-road it does great. But it is a little bit less refined. If you can see, as you can see here, it just has the basic switches. Your lights, your horn, signal, that sort of thing. And over here, your selector switch, on and off, that sort of thing. But really, again, it is bare bones basic. You do have the ABS on and off button right here, but besides that, you don't have any other real controls on the bike, any other electronic features, whereas on the Africa Twin you do have a lot of selector modes and sport modes, that sort of thing. So this is a little bit more basic, but is very capable. I also dig the built-in power outlet here. The Africa Twin, mine didn't come with one actually installed. This one, you know, from the factory comes with one already in there, and it does have another spot on the right side where you could install one as well. Nice little cap on it to keep it dry. Say hi. Here. Say hi. Good boy. One of the biggest things that I do like on this bike versus the Africa Twin is the lights here are flexible. So if you do happen to drop this bike, you know, this might snap off, but it's probably not going to break this entire fairing. Whereas on the Africa Twin, this is all one solid piece. So if you broke this off, it probably would be breaking and tearing off this fairing as well, which would be really expensive and hard to get to fix. But on all four lights here, as you can see, they're flexible, which is really nice. Coming around to the back, you can see that as well. See how they're flexible? I do think the windscreen looks really nice. If you're a tall person like me, you'll appreciate a little bit taller windscreen to cut down on some of the wind. But I do think that, I mean, I would prefer it to be a little bit wider on the Africa Twin. It actually came out to about right here, so the stock windscreen was a little bit wider. But I do like how the windscreen, kind of the fairing here, wraps around the side to help protect from rain and such. The fuel cap is also something that I prefer on the Africa Twin better. If you recall from the Africa Twin, stick the key in, turn it, and it just pops the lid open. Whereas this is a little bit more old school. When you put the key in and you open it up, you actually have to physically remove the entire cap to fill it up with gas. So I think that's a little dated. Again, I've only got 80 miles on this bike, so I haven't really put it through its paces yet, but I did feel that this seat, you know, for the first, 20, 30 miles is pretty comfortable, but it does get pretty uncomfortable quickly after that. It's a little narrow here, for the rally rider, but I do think that these edges kind of dig into the inside of your thighs there a little bit, so I'm probably going to upgrade this with a Seat Concepts or a little bit better seat. Another thing on the Africa Twin, I did like that this back seat was a little bit wider. This one is actually narrower. Just personal preference. I actually do like the stock foot pegs on this. They're a little bit wider than the Africa Twin. The Africa Twin stock pegs were actually about as wide as the rubber piece here, whereas these are a little bit wider. Of course, they pop back. The shifter has a spring on it as well in case you hit something. But, for my foot, usually I like to go with a little bit wider stock peg, or a little bit, aftermarket peg. But actually, these are big enough that I'm probably just going to keep these on the bike, so that'll be less of an expense. Here's a look again at the screen. Selector button right here. Start button. I do like that it has this little pass trigger here, so when you're going to pass somebody, you can actually just hit this really quick and hold the high beams up, which I like. Another thing is this has the quad headlights on the front, which actually kind of have that fishbowl look to them. but overall it does look pretty cool. And when you have just the parking lights on before you start it, I do like the LED lights here as well. Good boy.